We're just always expecting them to be tough. They're going to be hard-nosed football, and that's kind of what we're all about too. So it's going to be interesting to see who's a tougher guy in this game.
You know, the victory bell in many years comes down to this game, and in some ways it does again this year. What are you trying to do? I mean, I imagine you want to kind of, they're in line, I guess you would say, for the victory bell, but you guys can kind of spoil that. I imagine that's a role that you relish to a certain degree.
Yeah, I mean, it's about winning every game, getting better every game. So whether that's winning the SAC or winning the sectional championship, we're just going to try to get better every week.
Coach was really pleased last week with the second half. You guys have played a couple games where it's been tight in the first half, and then you guys have not run away with the game in the second half, but you did in all facets of the game. How do you carry that over? What are some of the things you try to carry over from that win against Northrop to this week?
Definitely coming out with more fire in the first half is a challenge that we're trying to get over. And then definitely carrying that over to the second half where we stay relentless, we stay tough as them, and just breaking their will ultimately.
You guys, it looked like in the second half you really hit your stride offensively. So tell me about the offense. Where have you guys improved the most since day one of this season?
Finding the right guys in the offensive line, we've been moving guys around it. So just putting those guys in the right spot. I mean, John's getting really comfortable back there. He's relaxing and trusting the wide receivers to get to where they're supposed to be.
Final question, what are you working on as a team most this week? What's the focal point this week as you lead up to Bishop Dwenger? And what are your biggest concerns with what they do, specifically with their defense?
They're going to be blitzing guys all around, so just picking up those blitzing linebackers and those crossing defensive linemen. We're not going to do anything really special to block them. We're just going to focus on our technique and our fundamentals.
Some of the things you carry over from that productive second half that you're trying to, roll over into this week's game against Dwenger?
Well, the team really came together as a unit, and so if the team just comes together again this week, we're going to be able to do what we did last week.
When you take a look at this Snider team, what are some of the biggest areas where you've made strides in since week one? What are some of the biggest areas of improvement?
I mean, even just for the O-line, just block it to the whistle, sustaining blocks, knowing everything, knowing the scheme better, stuff like that.
You guys have had the victory bell the last two seasons. This is a victory bell championship type of game. What's your mentality as a team heading into this one?
We just got to go in there and give it everything we got and do as good as we can.
Dwenger has really kind of ridden that defense this season to be undefeated. What do you guys have to do well offensively to counter, what has been one of the SAC's best defenses?
We got to just know our scheme and block how we're supposed to.
For you, what are the things that coach is really stressing this week in practice?
Knowing exactly what we're supposed to do, not making any mistakes.
Final question, what are you most looking forward to about this game? Obviously a lot of tradition, a lot of wins, a lot of history between these two programs.
I'm just trying to go out there and have everybody give everything we got, and it's going to be a dogfight.
All right, perfect, my man. What is the mentality of this Snider team heading into a big contest Friday?
First of all, I think everybody's excited for it. Anytime we get to match up against these guys, it's a great atmosphere. They know the tradition, they know the history, and they've been in the last 2 years, two games that we start out crappy and they start out great, and it's 19-0 in both cases, and then we have to dogfight back, and we're able to come away with victories. But it's those kind of games. They always come down to the last possession. They're hard fought. They're clean. We have a tremendous amount of respect for their program and the history of their success, as I think they do us. And it's just a great atmosphere to play in. It's something that our kids, that's why you play high school football, is to be a part of these kinds of games and the excitement behind it, the emotions that they'll feel during the game. That's what they learn from, and that's why high school sports is such a great endeavor, is because they get to experience things that are really, trite in that fact that it's just football. But they have to learn to control their emotions of something that's very, very important, that someday will be something, more important in their life, not football.
When you take a look at Bishop Dwenger on paper and what you're trying to accomplish this week in practice, what are some of the concerns that you have with them offensively and defensively, and some of the things you're stressing to your Snider team as you get ready to take on the Saints?
First of all, they're just well coached. They don't make mistakes. They don't hurt themselves. They're not flashy in terms of the way they score or the way they play defense, but they just do it really, really well. So they don't put themselves in bad positions. They don't hurt themselves. And then they're big. They're physical. We told our guys from as soon as we started meeting Saturday morning, this will be the most physical game and the most physical team you play against all year. And, those are the things that we know we'll get from Bishop Dellinger.
When you take a look at this Snider team, second half was really good football. The first half was good football, tied 21-21, but you really pulled it out in the second half and pulled away from Northrop last week. What are some of the things you carry away from specifically that second half performance and last week's game in general that you're trying to roll over to this week?
Well, in two previous experiences where the game has been tight in the first half, we came out in the second half and did not play well. We made more mistakes, whether that be because we were tight, whether that be because we weren't coached well enough, whatever the reason was, we just didn't play well. So the most gratifying part about Friday was we, scores tied at halftime. We came out and we played better in the second half than we did the first half in all facets, special teams, offense, and defense. And that was something that, shows that we're improving and something that we're going to have to need to rely on as we get into playoffs and championship caliber games.
You guys have played, up until a few weeks ago, multiple quarterbacks. It looks like John is kind of settling in there and playing well and gaining more confidence. I think you can kind of see it in his performance. How key is that for this offense? Because when we always talk about Snider, we talk about how great the defense and the offensive line are. But how key is it that now your quarterback is kind of finding his way at this point in the season?
Well, the offense runs through his hands. I mean, his decision making. His command of the offense, his job is not to win a game. His job is to run the offense. His job is to distribute the ball. His job is to take what the defense gives you. His job is to orchestrate everything so that it is in sync. That's his job. And John is, great young man, great character, great work ethic, a guy that we know can very much do that job, and he's getting steadily better each week at it, getting more confident in it. You can see that in his throws. You can see that in his aura about him as he comes to the line of scrimmage, just more confident. And that's, every young kid has to go through learning experiences before they can improve, and he has certainly taken advantage of all those opportunities.
Final question, what is this team looking forward to the most about this coming Friday?
Just the excitement of the game. It's an atmosphere that you can't duplicate every Friday night. It's an atmosphere that you don't get in every game that you play. It's just, I guess, until you've been in it, coached in it, played in it, it's hard to describe. But I get chills thinking about it right now. I know our guys do. The records don't matter. The implications, always seem to be the same, and it's something that, we're really, really, first of all, fortunate to be a part of a rivalry like this, but also grateful that, we get another chance at them this year.